What happened to Triumph?
Before Triumph, the blues-based band Abernathy Shagnaster, comprising Fred Keeler, Peter Young, Mike Levine, and Gil Moore, signed to Canada's Attic Records in 1975. Their single Hobo, backed by Gotta Get You Back in My Life, didn't chart, and after Keeler and Young departed, Moore and Levine connected with guitarist Rick Emmett. Emmett's addition led to the formation of Triumph. The band's first paid concert with Emmett took place in September 1975. Emmett's songwriting infused progressive rock and classical influences featuring classical guitar solos. Moore served as the lead singer, Levine produced early albums, and Triumph faced criticism from rock critics, including being labeled a faceless band by Rolling Stone reviewers. They issued their self-titled debut a year later via the independent Attic label. Although the album was largely ignored, it became a favorite of a radio DJ in San Antonio, Texas, which led to a regional following solidified by a tour of the state. The exposure also gave way to a deal with RCA Records, which reissued the debut as well as Triumph's sophomore effort, 1977's Rock and Roll Machine, which spawned the group's first semi-hit single, a cover of Joe Walsh's Rocky Mountain Way. It was also around this time that the group became known for its concerts, which relied heavily on pyrotechnics and an intricate light show. Just in case their following couldn't figure this out themselves, the trio penned a track called Blinding Light Show. With their stock rising among hard rock fans, Triumph inked a new recording contract with MCA, which led to their most successful period both artistically and commercially. Such resulting albums as 1979's Just a Game and 1980's Progressions of Power inched the group closer to breakthrough success, which was obtained by a pair of back-to-back gold-certified albums, 1981's Allied Forces, often considered the group's best album, and 1982's Never Surrender. Hold On reached number 38 on the Billboard Hot 100. Hold On became a significant song in some select markets. For example, in St. Louis, the song made it to number 1 on KSHE and KWK, AOR, and classic rock stations. Laid on the Line received heavy FM radio airplay and reached number 86 on the Billboard Hot 100. I Can Survive peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Never Surrender featured 5 anthems. Magic Power reached number 8 on the Billboard Mainstream Top Rock Tracks and number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100. The Jimi Hendrix-inspired riff rocker Too Much Thinking even samples Ronald Reagan from one of his presidential speeches. Triumph's relationship with RCA Records soured at this point, but MCA Records executive Irving Azoff co-opted their debts and signed them for 5 albums. Such further albums as 1984's Thunder 7, 1985's Stages, 1985's The Sport of Kings, and 1987's Surveillance failed to meet the expectations set by Triumph's earlier releases, yet the group was able to retain a cult following. On Thunder 7, Emmett's lyrics address social concerns in an adult context, and Rick Emmett and Gil Moore sang alternating vocal parts in Follow Your Heart and Killing Time. Follow Your Heart reached number 88 on the Billboard Hot 100. Rick Emmett's Somebody's Out There reached the American Top 40 in late 1986 with a significant amount of radio and video exposure. Adding Rick Santers to their lineup, Triumph toured with Swedish guitarist Yngwie Malmsteen across the U.S. While Gil Moore and Mike Levine remained firmly planted in blues rock, Rick Emmett took a more modern progressive turn, even involving Dixie Dregs and Kansas guitarist Steve Morse. The 1988 tour, during which the band members experienced growing disharmony over business decisions and artistic direction, ended with a September 3rd show on the Kingswood stage at Canada's Wonderland. Come 1988, Emmett opted to leave the group to pursue a solo career, but instead of calling it a day, Moore and Levine decided to carry on with a new frontman and guitarist, while an 11-track Best of Set Classics was issued a year after Emmett's exit. Their first choice, ex-Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake member John Sykes, was too busy getting his project Blue Murder off of the ground at the time, so the gig ultimately went to former Frozen Ghost / Aldo Nova associate Phil X. The Phil X-led version of the group only managed to issue a single release, however, with 1993's Edge of Excess. And after that album was released, Triumph split up for good. Initial reception of the album from American radio seemed quite favorable until Triumph's recording label, a subsidiary of Polygram, dissolved unexpectedly in 1993. Moore and Levine were joined by Triumph superfan Sebastian Bach of Skid Row and Phil X for a performance of Rock and Roll Machine at the Q107 Rock Awards on December 1st, 1993. In the wake of their breakup, several archival releases popped up in record stores such as 1995's In the Beginning and 1996's Keen Biscuit Flower Hour, the latter of which chronicled a 1981 concert, while Rick Emmett continued with his solo career, issuing albums regularly throughout the 1990s. Levine continued to merchandise the band's recordings and songs. He then went into business and began living part-time in Jamaica. Levine was also a contestant on the Christmas Eve 1996 episode of Wheel of Fortune. Levine also serves on the board of directors and advisory board for the Musicians' Rights Organization Concert. Moore opened and operated Metal Work Studios in Mississauga, originally for Triumph's exclusive use, but more recently the company has been training engineers and sound technicians for Canada's music industry. In 2003, TML released a live DVD called Live at the US Festival, originally recorded in San Bernardino, California at the US Festival in 1983. This historic festival, attracting nearly 250,000 rock fans, also featured Van Halen and The Clash. Triumph had earlier released this concert on VHS following the Never Surrender tour, featuring 2 videos from the forthcoming Thunder 7 album. In 2004, TML released a second DVD concert, A Night of Triumph, filmed in 1987 at Halifax Metro Center during the Sport of Kings tour. The most comprehensive Triumph anthology, Living for the Weekend Anthology, was issued in 2005. A CD of extended versions of some of the band's most popular hits called Extended Versions Triumph was released in 2006. In 2007, it was announced that Triumph was to be inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Subsequently, the original lineup of Emmett, Levine, and Moore reunited for several high-profile live shows, leading up to them being inducted into the Hall of Fame during the 2008 Juno Awards. In 2008, Triumph's classic lineup performed live for the first time since 1988 with 2 reunion concerts. The first on June 7th at the Sweden Rock Festival in Sweden, and the second on July 11th at the Rocklahoma Music Festival in Pryor, Oklahoma. In 2012, the band released the DVD/CD set Live at Sweden Rock Festival, which documents Triumph's reunion concert from 2008. In 2016, Rick Emmett released the album RES9, which included the song Grand Parade, on which Gil Moore played drums and Mike Levine played bass. The song is a ballad reminiscent of Suitcase Blues. On November 16, 2019, Triumph performed together for the first time in 11 years at an invite-only event at Metalwork Studio in Mississauga, Ontario, where they played 3 songs, When the Lights Go Down, Lay It on the Line, and Magic Power, in front of approximately 300 superfans in attendance. This superfan fantasy performance was taped for the Banger Films documentary Triumph Rock and Roll Machine. That same month, Triumph was inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame. On September 10th, 2021, the Triumph Rock and Roll Machine documentary debuted at the TIFF Festival. And that's what happened to Triumph. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And give me some facts about the band that I failed to mention. And do you think they will ever reunite again? All three of them are still alive as of the recording of this video in December 2023, so you never know. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.